The regular board meeting of May 6, 2024 to order. At this time, Secretary Pestana, may I have a roll call, please?
Sorry. Ms. Grzymkowski.
Here.
Mr. Dimick.
Here.
Ms. Ryan.
Here.
Ms. Dodd.
Here.
I am present. Ms. Cotter.
Here.
And Mr. Wiseman.
Here.
All present.
Thank you very much. We all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Look at us. We coordinated. We look good.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I would like at this point in time, though, to make a motion that under new business, we add the item Oakland Schools Board Election. I will make that motion to add. I will need to have a second. Then we will vote on that amendment, and if it is approved, we will add that under new business as item A. Exhibit I, I'm sorry, and Part E under Section 6 under new business. This will allow us, for me to bring this to the board's attention, and will allow us to follow the process as it relates to setting this up as new business so that on the May 20th board meeting, we may take a look at this and get a recommendation. So I've made that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion was made by myself and seconded by Laura Dodd. Do I have any comments or questions regarding that? Seeing none, could I have a roll call, please, on that amendment?
Yes, Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Ms. Grzymkowski.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Could I have a motion now to approve the revised agenda?
I'll move that we approve the revised agenda as presented.
Motion was made by Vice President Dodd. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Jacob Dimick. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Grzymkowski.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Next, I do want to thank all of you for attending tonight's Huron Valley Board of Education meeting. We welcome our Huron Valley School community input and comments. A public comment segment will be available at the beginning of the meeting for both action and non-action items during Section 3 of the agenda. Additional comments will be taken under Section 7 of the agenda as it relates to non-agenda items or non-action items. If you have a comment or concern regarding an agenda or a non-agenda item, please fill out the requested information that you can find by the door and return it to the board secretary at this time. I have received a number of items. Several of them are on agenda items. The rest are not on agenda items. So I will be asking individuals to approach the microphone as it relates to agenda items for public comments in Section 3. The other items that are not agenda items will be addressed under Section 7. This is really not a time for the Board of Education to make comments. As it relates to the comments that are presented to us, but when appropriate, I will turn them over to Dr. Salah, our superintendent, who will utilize this time over the next couple of weeks to address any questions or provide clarification and circle back to the Board of Education and the community as it relates to that. So please, if you do have a public comment, these are the forms. They're over by the door. Fill them out and then pass them forward to Heather at the end of our table. So Next is items from the board president. There's only a couple of items that I do have. One is tomorrow, May 7th, is a day that's extraordinarily important for the future of the Huron Valley School Board and school district as a whole. On behalf of the entire Huron Valley Board of Education, we believe that the bond issue on May 7th, tomorrow, 2024, supports the continued success and improvement of our school district. This bond will fund necessary upgrades to our facilities, ensuring that our schools remain safe, welcoming, and conducive to the high standards of education our community expects. We encourage everyone to participate in this vote tomorrow. In addition to that, I do want to make note that the Board of Education recognizes our teachers, that this is Teacher Appreciation Week, May 6th to May 10th. There was a quote that I'm going to share with you from an Ann Lieberman. It says, "Great teachers emphasize with kids, respect them, and believe that each one has something special that can be built upon." And I certainly believe that is the case with our teachers, because I certainly believe they are great teachers. Being a teacher isn't easy, so we just want to say thank you and to let you know that we appreciate and respect all the hard work you put in. Thank you all for doing what you do every day on behalf of our community and our students, and truly walking the talk as it relates to inspiring and building futures of our students, one student at a time. So with that, I'm going to turn that over to recognitions and Dr. Salah, Huron Valley Highlights.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will pass the baton over to Ms. Rockler.
Good evening. As you know, we have honored many DECA students and their successes throughout the school year. But tonight, we wanted to honor one who's taking on a different leadership role within the DECA organization. Ryan Caranato, who is finishing up his junior year here at Milford High School, was recently elected president of the Michigan chapter of DECA. Michigan DECA has 8,000 members from 155 Michigan high schools and technical campuses, and Ryan was elected by his peers for this role. He has been a part of DECA since his freshman year. During his 3 years, he has competed on the district level, state level, and this year competed internationally. Just last week, Ryan battled his way to the stage as a top 20 qualifier in the Business Growth Plan event. The top 20 then competed again, and Ryan achieved number 6 in the world for his Business Growth Plan paper and presentation to the judges. Ryan is a part of Student Council, National Honor Society, and is the founder and president of the Finance Club. You may remember that we focused a social media story on Ryan last year that he created the Stock Market Club here at Milford High School. This is not a small commitment Ryan is taking on, and I'm sure he knows that already. He actually spent the last 9 days in training and meetings to be prepared for this presidential role. So if Ryan, along with Board of Education member Lindsay Cotter, can join me up here so we can give him the proper accolades, and please give him a round of applause.
Ryan, first of all, my personal congratulations to you. Normally when we highlight our DECA students, I try to remember to wear my blue blazer, but it's at the cleaners right now. So again, congratulations to you. So on behalf of our Huron Valley Highlight, bestowed this day to honor Ryan Caranato, Milford High School, for outstanding representation of Huron Valley schools, awarded today, May 6th of 2024. And as always with our honorees, we like to present them with a coin from Huron Valley depicting our academics, athletics, and the arts. So again, on behalf of the board, congratulations, Ryan.
Would you like to say a few things? Do you have anything to say, or if the board has any questions and comments for Ryan?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you so much to my advisors, Ms. Summer and Ms. Janzik. They do a great job, and they represent the program very well. They prepared me for this role, and they really inspired me to take DECA to another level, and just are a great inspiration for me. So I just want to give them thanks. Thanks to my parents who are here today, They're my biggest inspiration. They're always telling me to strive for more and to never be satisfied. So thanks to them too.
Thank you. Anyone have any comments to Ryan? Any questions? I just want to say thank you. Once again, you're a great example of being not only a student in the Huron Valley School District, but one that represents us in many different facets. So we appreciate your efforts, we appreciate your focus, we appreciate everything that you do on behalf of your school in the district. And maybe what you could do is have your parents raise their hands so that we can recognize them.
They're
There
recording
you
right now.
go. Thank you. Amy, you had something you'd like to say?
I am just kind of curious about number 6, not bad. Tell us a little bit about your project.
Yeah, so I did a project on my business. So I own a clothing brand. It's called Limited Infinity. We sell athletic apparel. And basically what I had to do is present a presentation and a written essay on how I'm going to grow my business in the next 5 years. I basically describe some executive stuff and just the growth that we want to do, whether that be through marketing, advertising, and a bunch of different things as well.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
You have
Excellent.
a very, very strong future in business.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, once again, congratulations on behalf of the entire board.
Thank you.
And if we can invite Ryan's family up and take a picture with the board?
Sure.
Great.
Maybe. You guys can come on over here.
Next is school presentations. Dr. Salah, Lakewood Elementary.
Mr. Wiseman, we still have one more recognition.
Oh, that's
Oh.
right.
That's okay.
Great.
Now, I would like to invite up our Huron Valley Education Association President, Jennifer Hollander, who has some additional recognitions we want to take care of tonight.
Good evening. I kind of made my way towards the beginning of the meeting this evening. It's a very exciting evening for the HVEA as we recognize this year's Friend of Education Award and Outstanding Person in Education. I hope you spent a few minutes over the past few weeks thinking who we might recognize as I gave you a little teaser last time we were together. So let's get started. The Huron Valley Education Association, the Huron Valley Education Support Personnel, and the Huron Valley Para-Educators Association are excited to nominate Michael Peterson for our Friend of Education Award. Michael's long history as a community member and supporter of Huron Valley schools demonstrates his passion and dedication to public education. Mike has lived in the Huron Valley community for over 20 years, raised his children within the valley, and each of them graduated from Milford High School. Mike's involvement in Huron Valley community extends all the way back to January of 1999, when he and his brothers opened up the first local Hungry Howie's store back on M59 and Duck Lake Road. As our community has grown, so has Michael's local pizza franchises, and now he owns 4 locations within our Huron Valley boundaries. Michael gives back to our Huron Valley schools and communities on a frequent basis. Many of our schools have monthly Hungry Howie's Pizza Nights, where 10% of the sales are donated back to the schools. And in addition, Mike's stores support our Huron Valley Education Foundation fundraisers, donate free pizza to special programs at the school, and the stores give out Junior Achievement Awards so the teachers can pass them out to students for personal free pizzas. In the community, Hungry Howie's is a sponsor for our local football teams, cheerleading squads, and our Milford Band. It is very important to Michael and his family to support Huron Valley schools and the community. He is connected directly to HVS as he lives here, works here, and raised his family here. As a business owner, Mike believes that you should give back to others if you have the ability, and being there for others in supporting the community is essential to him. As Mike shared, pizza is so versatile and it fits everyone's needs. Pizza has a place everywhere. We are so grateful for Michael's love of pizza and his generosity, and they come together to support our community for so many years. It is an honor to present Michael Peterson as our Friends of Education Award for this year. Please come up and accept your award.
Wow, look at that. That's awesome.
Oop, and that moves, be careful.
Wait, hold on. Where's my dingy dingy thing? Did they take that away for
I
a
think
reason?
And then your coin.
Well, thank you so much.
You are welcome. You can wait here for a minute. Just want to step back because we have one more award this evening. Moving on, our Huron Valley Education Association is so proud to honor Vicki Armstrong as our outstanding person in education. Vicki has been an educator for 32 years, 26 of them in Huron Valley. Vicki's colleagues describe her as the heartbeat of Johnson Elementary School, which has been her home away from home for the past 19 years. Early on in Vicki's career, she received her master's degree in learning disabilities. Since then, Vicki has been an incredible special education teacher who views students individually in order to see their own specific needs and specific strengths. She sees herself as a learning detective, so she can figure out just what each student needs to make progress. Student growth is what motivates Vicki to continue to work as an educator for over 3 decades. However, she is most proud of the teams of colleagues that she has worked with through the years. Vicki loves being part of a team, and she states, "Good teams create good learning, especially for our special education students." Vicki is an advocate for public education and all students. She uses her years of experience to mentor our other teachers across the district and to pass along her insights. Vicki reflects, "Each time I share a hint, and that hint helps another teacher to move more quickly to grow a student's learning, I have created a helpful influence." Vicki's principal, Josh Geniak, agrees with Vicki's unwavering advocacy. He emphasizes that Vicki constantly goes above and beyond the call of duty, showing boundless empathy and creates an environment where every child feels seen, valued, and understood. As a strong advocate for public education, Vicki has spoken right here to the Board of Education. She's had conversations with Dr. Salah and will stand up for what is right, even when it's not popular or easy. Vicki attends our Huron Valley Education Association events and was the first one to pick up a picket sign when the call went out to support the IA last year. In conclusion, Rachel Francis, a Johnson colleague, shared, "Vicki is a wonderful teacher, colleague, and overall human. We benefit as a whole district and community with her in it. She is a wonderful, kind gem that makes public education a great place to be." Huron Valley is so fortunate to say that Vicki Armstrong has been the heart and soul of our district for many years. Vicki, please come up and accept your award. Yes, yours does ring.
That's not fair. She got a ball in her belt.
If we can, if the board has any comments or questions, and then we can take a picture.
Any comments, questions? I just want to say thank you both to Vicki and Michael. appreciate everything you do, and you mean so much to us as a school district.
All right, shall we take that picture?
Now I believe it is time for our school presentations. Is that correct, Dr. Salah?
Yes, it is. Thank you. So this evening, I have the pleasure to introduce the proud principal of Lakewood Elementary School, who will kick off their presentation, Miss Heather Peden. Heather, I don't see you. Oh, there you are. Go ahead and kick it off, Heather.
Good evening. I am Heather Peden, proud principal of Lakewood Elementary. Thank you for having us this evening. This is my first board meeting with HVS, so I'm excited to be here. So I have brought some friends with me tonight. Aubrey Ballou, Nora Almori, Whitney Frazier, Dominic Kish, and Anna Keeble. And they are going to lead this presentation tonight. So at Lakewood, we believe that our students are the agents of their own learning. So I just facilitated. They made the presentation. They came up with the idea. Everything is all them tonight. So I just was lucky enough to sit in a room with them for a few days to get this all prepared. So our presentation is called How Principal Peden Ended Up Taped to the Wall.
It's okay. What is PBIS? Positive Behavior Interventions and Support, also known as PBIS, is an evidence-based tiered framework for supporting behavioral, academic, social, emotional, and mental health. PBIS improves social emotional competence, academic success, and school climate. In Lakewood Elementary, we have 2 paraprofessionals and 2 social workers. Even though we only have 2 paraprofessionals and 2 social workers, the whole school staff is involved with PBIS.
Our school-wide expectations, also known as SOAR, the S stands for show pride and respect, the O stands for obtain goals, the A stands for act responsible, and then the R stands for remember safety. Soaring is expected in the school.
SOAR tickets. Teachers give the SOAR tickets to the students. Students can earn SOAR tickets by following the expectations on SOAR matrices. If students throughout the whole school reach the goal of getting a certain amount of SOAR tickets, then they get a reward. If a student earns a SOAR ticket, they can put it in the bin. Every Friday, Ms. Bruno pulls 10 SOAR tickets from the bin, and those students that get drawn get a prize. She also counts how many SOAR tickets are in the bin.
One of our rewards for earning about 3,000 SOAR tickets is Cone Ice. Another one of our rewards we got from earning 2,000 SOAR tickets is Fancy Day. And we earned all these things from earning a certain amount of SOAR tickets, like Fancy Day, Movie Day, and Popcorn Day.
We earned a bounce house from earning 3,000 SOAR tickets.
We had a whole assembly about SOAR, and on the right's another picture of Fancy Day.
We earned donuts and apple cider by getting 3,000 SOAR tickets. And then on the way, there's 2 pictures of Fancy Day with our Lakewood Hawk.
Why PBS is important? PBIS is important because it increases students' engagement in instructional time. Establishing school-wide expectations with your student sets the tone for the classroom. When you spend time getting to know your student and using strategies to deepen connections every day, you are building a better health and environment.
When we earned 3,000 SOAR tickets, Miss Peden ended up taped to the wall. Every student and staff member got to put a piece of tape on Miss Peden.
You don't need to watch the whole video. Thank you guys for letting us present. We appreciate the time.
Don't go anywheres. Where are you going? I'm sure there's going to be some questions or comments.
Questions?
Any comments, questions? Yes, Amy.
So it looked like you had a lot of fun doing this, right? How long does it take you to earn 3,000 SOAR tickets? That seems like it would take a long time.
It took like 2 months, but like the students at Lakewood Elementary are like very good, so we earn a lot of SOAR tickets.
Yes.
That's a great answer. I did not coach her on that at all.
Fantastic.
Laura.
I just want to say thank you to all of you for putting together such an outstanding presentation. I know that your principal probably really appreciated your bravery today, getting up and presenting to us, and I know it can be really hard. So it was nice to see this nice team of first-timers up here together telling us about the great stuff happening at your school. Nice presentation, really good job.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Just want to say thank you. You did a great job with the PowerPoint, a fantastic job presenting, and even a better job taping your principal to the wall. I'm just wondering, how long did it take her to take all that tape off, or how many days did you keep her up on that wall?
Give her snacks.
Anybody have an answer to that?
Well, so they did, that's a hard one for them to answer, so I'm going to jump in because
Okay.
The way we had it structured was grade levels came, so they were actually the first ones to tape me to the wall, the 5th grade,
Oh.
with JK
okay.
being the last group to tape me. So the process, I think, took about somewhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours for everybody, including staff. They love that, to tape me to the wall. But we did remove, after a little hesitation, we removed the
stool?
the stool, thank you, that I was sitting on, and I was able to like push right off the wall. So not very long.
Okay. Well, it was good that you were only a little ways off the ground.
Yeah.
Then, huh?
Yeah.
You know what? My reflecting on this, what was so positive, was that you worked as a team. This wasn't individual. Whoa! This wasn't individual awards. These were awards that you, as a school, collectively came up with. So each of you were holding each other accountable. And you talk about making a school-wide cultural change. It's enormous because everybody's held accountable in that case. So nice job, very nice, great presentation. Now at this moment, I'm going to have a very quick recess. Everybody can stay if you'd like, but this gives you an opportunity, students and others, to leave. And don't worry about hurting our feelings if you do. So, thank you. Next is the superintendent's communication, 2020 school building and site bonds, Series 1 audit.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have one addition that I'd like to share. As you mentioned, it is Teacher Appreciation Week. I just want to thank all of our teachers and educators in the Huron Valley Schools for the work that they do day in and day out. They're selfless, they're dedicated, they're passionate, they're knowledgeable, they're kind, and it's, you know, as I reflect on teachers who had the greatest impact on me over my career, some of which would not think I'd be a superintendent, by the way, those words come to mind. It's not so much that they were really dynamic with knowing and understanding the content standards. It was how they represented the content. It was their passion for the content. Mrs. Rudolph, my high school history teacher, had that impact on me. Mrs. Foster, I never forget, she's my second grade teacher. She was just so kind, and I know I was a difficult second grader. So, you know, and I know that we have so many educators in this district that go in every single day, and they have that kind of an impact on kids. And so I just want to thank our teachers, I want to thank our social workers, I want to thank all those who are educators that give day in and day out. And for those of you who are watching, you know, if you have just a couple minutes to shoot an email to an educator that has meant a lot to you, either in your own personal life or in the life of your kids, I know that they will appreciate that. So please do that. I think it just is really shows the community feel. So that was my add-on, Mr. President. I have two other items. The two kind of go hand in glove. And for part of the school building and site bond Series 1 audit, I'm going to ask Mr. Van Gotham to speak to in just a little more detail. So the first one be the 2024 bond update. I just want to remind everyone and encourage all of you who are in the audience, and certainly those who are watching this at home, that tomorrow, May 7th, is your last opportunity to vote for the 2024 bond proposal focused on infrastructure, school safety and security, as well as modernizing our educational environments. And I really just want to encourage you, if you have not voted absentee or early voting, you have an opportunity to do that at your normal polling location. The second item, which does tie to the bond proposal, actually relates to the 2020 School Building and Site Bond Series 1 audit. And the reason this is important is because the district makes the intentional purpose of going out for bonds that are what we call qualified. They become qualified because the state treasury has to sign off that the projects that we are proposing are needed and that they are vetted, and that we utilize taxpayer money in a way that is fiscally responsible. And because they are qualified bonds, we have to spend them on the projects that we propose in that bond application. And the board hires a third-party, non-HVS affiliated auditing firm to audit every aspect of the bond. So we sell bonds in series, and once we finish a series of work of bond dollars, then the auditing company has a certain amount of time to come in and review the financial aspects of that bond to ensure that everything was done in a manner that is legal and fiscally responsible. And so we received our report February 22nd for the first bond series, and I want to ask Mr. Van Gotham just to speak to some of the findings of that report. Mr. Van Gotham.
Thank you, Dr. Salah. So he did a very good job of kicking this off. Obviously, the board asked the community in 2019 to approve $182 million in bond monies to do some basically essential projects for the school district. And so that was done in two series, the first of which was $112 million, and then in 2023 we sold the second series, which was the remaining $70 million. And so as Dr. Salah mentioned, the first series, we have completed the spending on the $112 million. And so our independent auditing firm, Hungerford Nichols, did a complete audit of that $112 million. And essentially what this report, it's a 10-page report, but I'm not going to put the viewing audience and community to sleep tonight. So what I'll say is that, you know, we received an unmodified report, which means that, you know, the auditing firm had no adjustments based on how we reported the findings, and it met the federal and state standards to which we are held, as Dr. Slaw mentioned. I'm going to scroll down a couple pages here. If you want to take it down to page 6 for me, if you could. Right there would be great. So scroll down a little bit more for me. So basically this is the financing piece in a nutshell. It's important to note that, you know, as part of the improvements we made in the district with the first series, or the $112 million, really building was the biggest piece, building improvements, and you can see that there's $77.4 million in building improvements alone. There's an additional $11.5 million in technology, over $8 million in furniture and equipment. We also had over $2 million in bus purchases to keep our buses going, which again is, you know, as Dr. Slaw mentioned in several meetings, pretty unique for the state of Michigan. We have 4,200 to 4,500 students we transport every single day. We have routes anywhere from 75 to 90 routes in a given year that run 3 tiers, and so we're driving miles and miles every single day to and from school, and so replacing buses is essential for the size transportation that we have in the district. And so it's just important to note that, you know, as we're coming up upon the bond vote tomorrow for our community, that one, we're thankful and we're appreciative of the efforts that the community gave to us in 2019 by supporting the $182 million. And as it relates to the first $112 million, I can say with confidence that, you know, you gave us a responsibility to, you know, do good work with the bond, and we feel like, you know, we're listening to the committees that have been entrusted with us to do this work, and you know that we're spending the dollars appropriately. So with that being said, I'm going to pass the mic over to not only we have Board Treasurer Grzymkowski, but I know also Board President Wiseman. If either of those would like to start, I'd like to kick it to Amy first if she has some comments on that.
I think it's really important that when we talk about this audit, because it is done by a third party, we can feel a level of confidence that not only are we spending the monies appropriately, but all of the procedures and the policies that we have in place are also appropriate. When auditors come in and audit you, it is an arduous process. Our finance, the team and the finance it really is a lot of pressure, because not only are you still doing your day-to-day job, but you're also pulling whatever information they need. And as somebody who has had to recently go through an audit, I will tell you, it is not a fun experience. And yet, the findings from our auditor were nothing short of stellar. And I really appreciate the fact that we can be confident in the way that we are spending taxpayer dollars, because that's what we're spending, and that we can be confident that our district is doing the things that it needs to do to be effective, and that our kids, our students, are getting exactly what they need with respect to our buildings, to respect to safety, with respect to technology. So I want to say kudos, good job to the finance office, and to my fellow board members. I was really happy to see this audit. It couldn't have been a better audit.
Thank you, Amy, for your comments. As treasurer of the school board, a lot of responsibility as our treasurer, and thank you very much for working very closely with our finance department to make certain that the processes and procedures are followed. I think it's important to note, just as you stated, that this is the highest level of approval as it relates to the dollars spent, and it's really signifies promises made, promises kept. As a board president, but also as a taxpayer, this is extraordinarily important, because the dollars that I pay in taxes for the bond issue, it gives me that assurance that the money is being spent the way I personally and my family want it to be spent. Not only my personal family, my wife and myself, but all my children that live in Huron Valley, it gives that level of assurance. And I appreciate the work, but I also appreciate the fact that we are required to have a third party examine the finances, examine the transactions, and we go through the extra steps and basically the extra hoops to make certain that these bonds are qualified by the state. Because if they are not qualified by the state, these are the steps that we would not have to take. And I feel it's very important, not only with the bond issue that we presently have and all the improvements that we've realized, but in the next bond issues, we follow that same process, and we have that high level of assurance. So I appreciate also the work that's been done and the fiduciary oversight that you've displayed. I think it's also important, if you look at the finances, that not only do we sell these bonds, but Jeffrey and his staff invest those dollars when they're not being spent immediately. And we've realized the net about $1.3 million worth of interest that allowed us to do a variety of projects that without it, that interest would not have happened. So I also want to congratulate you to take that cash and make sure that it's always being invested in such a way that our students are recognizing and receiving additional positive results from that. So those are my comments. Anybody else have any comments? Seeing none, thank you very much. Any other comments from the superintendent?
That concludes my comments this evening. Thank you, Mr.
All right.
President.
I do not believe, Denise, being the chair of TLT, that we have any student leadership.
No student leadership
All
this
right.
evening.
Association communication, any additional? You already did? Okay. Board correspondence, Secretary Pastana?
No correspondence.
Treasurer's report, any further treasurer's report?
Not tonight.
All right. Next, reports from Board Committee. Executive Committee. The Executive Committee met on April 30th, 2024 at 12:30 at the Huron Valley School Administration Building. The meeting was called to order at 12:38, almost on time. Present were myself, along with members Pastana and Dodd, Dr. Salah, along with Barb Rothler and Heather Cadell. Laura participated virtually. There were no public comments. The regular agenda for tonight was reviewed by the committee and discussed. The 24-25 budget. Seems like we just started the 23-24 school year, and now we're already addressing the 24-25 budget. At exec, we had a lengthy conversation. Dr. Salah led us off with a comparison of the estimated executive, Senate, and House budgets for 24-25 school year. Our budget gets two major areas that affect our budget, which is our the budget, the dollars that we receive from the state, and the number of students that we're going to have for the 24-25 school year. It's interesting that those are the two largest determiners of our budget, and most often we do not know how much we're going to get from the state, and obviously we don't know how many students we're going to have other than projections until the students walk through our doors in September. The two key factors used to determine these budgets are obviously our foundation allowance and enrollment. Negotiations are still underway in all three chambers, and a final budget will come forth sometime, probably the end of June, but we're required to have a balanced budget adopted by this board before that. The committee also discussed current junior kindergarten enrollment numbers at the elementary buildings and discussed what the parameters and criteria would be needed to offer this program at every elementary building throughout the district. The committee also discussed the current procedures for establishing class sizes, particularly focusing on classes with 30 or more students presently. They examined what the parameters should be for allocating of additional full-time equivalencies or full-time teachers for the upcoming school year and considered the potential financial impacts. The committee was supportive of this topic being discussed in committees in advance of the May 2024 budget work session. In addition, the school safety and security items were discussed. Barb Rothler shared Recon Management's building visits, which have begun. These visits highlight the safety procedures and protocols being followed and is an opportunity to look for any areas of improvement. The findings from these visits will be provided by Recon in a report that will be shared with building administrators in August. In addition to that, the 2024 bond initiative was discussed by Barb Rothler and discussed the proximity of the bond special election, emphasizing encourage feedback received by the various advocacy groups, and she highlighted the planned email and video communication for the final week, urging the community to vote. The meeting was adjourned at 2:38, and the next meeting will be held on May 14th, 2024 at 12:30. Next is the TLT committee.
Yeah, TLT met April 16th. We met at Lakeland High School. Meeting was called to order at 4:32. Present were myself, Mr. Dimick, Ms. Cotter, Mr. DeVernier, Dr. Salah, Mr. Lindberg, Ms. Bjorkman, Ms. Thompson, Mr. Endicott, Ms. Chastain, Ms. Miska, and Rowan, our student from the IA. There was no public comment. We discussed administrative guidelines. Mr. Tavernier distributed the second set of the guidelines, and the third and final set will be distributed at the next meeting, which was actually tonight. We talked about district counselors. Mr. Lindberg shared the records documentation process that our district counselors use for ensuring consistency and application of credits, grade points, and transcript reporting. Mr. Docker is the cohort facilitator who meets regularly throughout the school year, and the committee discussed the importance in supporting students in navigating the college and scholarship application process. We discussed the safety and security. The district's provider has provided tools at no additional cost to the district to monitor and further harden the district information systems. The technology service team is currently implementing that tool. It was also shared that Recon Management would be conducting their audit of our schools over the next several weeks. Dr. Salah reported that the district continues to respond to individual questions related to the bond proposal. For student leadership, Rowan reported that Tuesday was the last day for the IA seniors as they began their review for IB exams in May. Their student council was working to secure transportation for prom, and their prom was scheduled for May 18th. On the consent agenda, the CTE technology purchase, it was recommended by that the purchase of 35 laptop computers and 33 monitors for the career technical education classrooms at Milford High, and that appears as new business on our agenda tonight. K2 had decodable book purchase, and this is to support classroom instruction. The TLT department has field tested a number of decodable text as new resources to be purchased with the new section 35J Early Literacy Professional Development Curriculum and Supplies Grant. It was recommended by our committee that the purchase of the K2 decodable book purchase appear as new business on tonight's agenda. We actually moved the original date of the meeting to tonight at 4:30, and we will have those minutes next time. And our next meeting after that is May 21st at 4:30.
Thank you very much. Finance and Operations.
Finance and Operations met on Wednesday, May 1st at 9:05 at the admin building. Present were Mr. Wiseman, Ms. Cotter, myself, Dr. Salah, Mr. Van Gotham, Mr. Reeby, Ms. Kerrigan, Ms. Maruskin, and from Clark Construction, Ms. Timberlake, Mr. Maxwell, and from TMP, Mr. Weinrock. There was no public comment. We reviewed our unfinished business, including the Apollo Playground. This will be coming tonight to the board for approval. This project is being funded out of the 2023 Capital Projects Fund. We also reviewed the bus ride transportation software solution. This will also be coming tonight for approval. This project is actually funded from the transportation categorical and the state aid revenue. We also reviewed new business, the 2024-2025 Oakland Schools ISD budget. Mr. Van Gotham summarized the 3 bucks, and the committee discussed the Oakland Schools budget, and we will review the resolution giving its blessings and concerns to support the 2023-2024 budget. Administration will be seeking approval on May 20th. We reviewed the Spring Mills ASD playground quote from Snyder Recreation. This is a new playground that would cost approximately $78,350 with the contingency. The administration will seek approval on May 20th, and this project is being funded from the 2023 Capital Projects Fund. We reviewed safety and security updates, including the recon visits that are continuing to take place, and a report will be shared upon completion. In addition, we had an update on our bond construction. Mr. Maxwell from Clark Construction provided the committee with remaining contingencies and construction updates for all the bid packs currently open, including summer construction timelines. Mr. Weinrock with TMP updated the committee on the middle school and the former leisure pool's new flexible space renovations. The middle school projects will go out for bid together this fall. We also talked about the 2024 bond. We talked about the signage that is displayed currently throughout the district. Ms. Rothler met with CQE committee, and TMP spoke praises about how Huron Valley is the model for communicating and transparency with respect to communicating about the bond. We also discussed the water line resolution from Highland Township. Dr. Salah and Mr. Van Gotham continue to work with council alongside Highland Township. Once the deal for the township water is finalized with the development company, it will be sent to us. And we will bring this to our next Finance and Operations Committee on May 15th. We discussed the 2020 School Building and Site Bonds Series 1 audit, which was discussed earlier tonight. And we went over that fairly thoroughly. We also spent time with Dr. Salad talking about the upcoming budget and planning session, and we want to talk about class size. And so we evaluated some of the class size analysis. The committee discussed the current procedures for establishing class size, particularly focusing on classes with 30 or more students at present. They examined what the parameters should be for allocating an additional full-time equivalent teacher for the upcoming year and considered the potential financial impacts. The committee was supportive of this topic being discussed in each of our committees in advance of the May 20th budget work session. The three chambers released their per pupil budget for the 24-25 school year, and we anticipate an answer in mid-June or July, which, as Mr. Wiseman suggested, is going to make our estimates we need to be very accurate with our estimates when we put our budget together. Our meeting adjourned at 11:24 a.m. Our next meeting is May 15th at the Administration Building at 8 a.m. I hope to see you there.
Thank you. Communications, Marketing, and Legislative.
Yes, our last meeting was April 16th at Lakeland High School in the brand-new LGI. Meeting was called to order at 2:36 p.m. Present were myself, Ms. Pastana, Ms. Cotter, Ms. Rothler, and Dr. Salah. There were no public comments. We discussed the bond. Bond lawn signs have been ordered and are placed throughout the community. Informational signs specifically by the Huron Valley Schools. We're continuing to share factual information on social media. The communications department has really done a fantastic job answering every single question as it came in to make sure that anyone who had questions was able to get good information. And I requested the voting data to discuss and look at our next communication meeting. Next on the agenda was graduation. The committee discussed 2024 graduation and who would speak, especially in Dr. Salah's absence, as his own son will be graduating that day. Decision was made to talk to school principals and get their thoughts and perhaps look at guests for future graduations, and not to do anything this year due to time constraints and finding the right person. Senior shout-outs. Communication shared with the committee that they have started doing social media posts again this year for senior shout-outs. It was something they started last year and was very successful. We talked about looking at sponsorship opportunities for the future. Next was district sponsorships. Committee discussed looking at other opportunities for businesses to sponsor items and help with fundraising. Our local businesses do a ton to support our schools with meals and other items, so finding other types of businesses rather than just our downtown businesses that could benefit from sponsoring and getting their name out to the community is an idea on the table. Next, we discussed safety and security. Ms. Rothler confirmed that recon management Visit dates are confirmed and will be completed by early May. As a reminder, Recon Management comes out and double checks the safety and security of our buildings. Next, legislative communication. I informed the Committee of Conversations in Lansing regarding early childhood education and how it will impact general funding. There wasn't any really decisions to be made, just getting information out there. Finally, we asked to go over social media and website analytics at our May and or June meetings. We adjourned at 3:44 p.m. The next meeting will be Tuesday, May 21st at 2:30 p.m. at the Administration Building.
Thank you very much. Next, Section 3, public comments. I have a number of public comments. In fact, I have 9. None of them are on action items, but 4 of them specifically are as it relates to items that were brought up within communication. So each of you will have an opportunity. I'm going to take 4 under public comments under Section 3, and then the remainder of the public comments that I have in front of me will be part of Section 7. Once again, I want to thank you for your comments that are forthcoming. In order for the board to complete its required business, board members will not get in a discussion who are addressing the board during this time, but the matters during these public comments are generally referred to our superintendent for further information and investigation. That being said, I'll start off with Joe Salvia, and then that will be followed by Liz Estes. Could you state your name and address and the school district in which you reside? You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, wow. Joe Salvia, 3770 Dunham, Highland Township, Huron Valley Schools System. A couple things on the way here. This community is so great. I was walking up and somebody across the way started waving at me, and then they said, "Oh, I thought you were somebody else." And I go, "I am somebody else." Couple quick comments about the audit. Great report. I serve on the board of directors of Huron Valley Bank. I'm also a Highland Township trustee, so I know the pain of having to go through audits, the expense, and the work it puts on the staff. So well done, staff. Well done. On the bond program, really happy to hear about things that are happening. I get a lot of feedback from my friends in the community, and I've kind of gone through all the paperwork that's been done to prepare us to get to this point. I'm very, very satisfied, and I just hope we get a good turnout for voters tomorrow. It doesn't make any difference how young you are or how old you are. It means what do you want to do with our community? And are we going to have a community for the future or not? You either move forward or you move backward. You don't stay stagnant. So hopefully we'll have a great turnout for that. Donations. Our Knights of Columbus also donates to the special needs. So I just heard that little caveat, and I want to make sure that, you know, our organizations that are maybe not necessarily out in the field all, we make those kind of donations happen. I think that's about it. That's the first time I've talked less than 3 minutes.
Thank you very much.
All right,
for your
thank you.
time. Appreciate it. Next, Liz, and followed by Sarah Moore.
Shorter than him. Hi, I'm Liz Estes, 2293 Great Oak Drive, Milford, Michigan, Huron Valley Schools. I'm just here to speak in support of the bond issue. I worked for nearly 40 years in special education as a physical therapist, which required me to go to multiple school districts within the county that I worked. And I saw the difference between the communities that supported their schools with bonds and millages and the communities that did not. Dr. Salah worked in the same school district that I worked for, so he knows too. And your schools are the heart of your community. It's the heart and soul of your community. And when you lose the public schools, you lose the community. To be very pragmatic about it, your property values go down. Your parks aren't in as good a shape because they're not being used in the way they need to be used. It's just sad to watch a community be lost that way. One of the reasons my husband and I moved here when our daughter was very young was the school district. We liked the community feel of it. It just was so comfortable walking into Johnson School. It was like a family, and it was what I wanted for my kid. We never considered doing anything other than public school. So I'm just here to speak in support of passing that darn bond issue so we can continue to have the kind of education our kids demand and deserve. Thanks.
Thank you, Liz. Appreciate your comments. Sarah, and then followed by Ashley.
Hi, Sarah Moore, 112 West Washington Street in Milford, Huron Valley School resident. I wanted to speak this evening in support of the bond issue. For Huron Valley Schools community, we'll be voting tomorrow, May 7th. I hope everybody votes yes. A few of the reasons why. Strong public schools are the backbone of a community. They're where future generations of our children will be taught and where they make lifelong friends. All students deserve to be in a safe, innovative school building that will allow them to have every advantage at a great education, as well as wonderful opportunities with arts and athletics programs. My husband and I raised our children in Huron Valley School, and our children are now raising their children in Huron Valley Schools. My husband's no longer with me. He passed away about a year ago, but he would be behind this 100%, just like I am. We chose to raise our children here, and I've been a homeowner in this community for 44 years. So please vote yes tomorrow.
Thank you. Ashley?
All right, so I'm going to actually change gears. I'm not about the bond. So like I said, my name is Ashley, or AJ. Growing up, I grew up in the community, went to Huron Valley Schools all of my education career. I've been very involved in my community, deeply entrenched in Milford memories, just the community as a whole, and our entire family is now doing that as well. I've got 3 girls at home who volunteer side by side with me. When it came time for us to choose where we wanted to start our oldest for schooling, we had to make the decision on where we wanted to build or plant our roots as a family. Like I said, I grew up here, and with us being so involved in the community, obviously Huron Valley was my first choice. My husband grew up in Northville, so there was that push and pull as a couple to figure out where we wanted our family to be planted. We chose Milford. We are a school of choice family. While we are seeking that home that we can call our forever home. We wanted to find that balance between schools, sports, and community. However, the rating for this school district is starting to decline. And we are starting to see that desire for our family to be calling Huron Valley our community. That desire is declining. The reason why we feel that it's important that I am here talking tonight is we are finding ourselves in classes that are maxed out. We are getting it from all levels currently. We have a 3rd grader and a 1st grader at Johnson Elementary. They are both in classes that are completely maxed out. We are seeing increasing in bullying. There are major behavior issues. There are learning disabilities that are in those classes. And frankly, there's just too many bodies. It's not safe. We can't have parents come in and volunteer because there just isn't space to have this maxed out classroom, disabilities, and have the parents come in and volunteer. I had family members that came in and volunteered, and it was very important to me that my family was in that classroom. Our teachers are being burnt out. Our district is consistently paying less than the surrounding districts. We are losing talents to those other districts. We are hindering our students at their most critical time for learning to learn. I'm running out of time here, so adding a unit in the middle of a school year is highly disruptive. It is not an option. Right now, it feels as if the district is being run as a business. The board is not in touch with what it is like to be in the trenches as a teacher. If we want to continue to look at the district as a business, the business is failing. It has a bleak future at the rate that it's going. Last point.
Thank you.
Last point is that our housing prices and the property taxes do not correspond and will not bring in the quality of families that we are looking to have in our district.
Thank you. The remaining citizens' participation forms I have in front of me, and you will have that opportunity in section 7. Consent agenda, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right,
And
do I
I'll
have-
support that motion.
All right. Motion made by Member Dimick, supported by Member Cotter. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
Ms. Cotter?
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Grisomkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
And Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next, unfinished business. These are 3 items that are before us tonight to vote on. These items were presented at the last board meeting under new business. Unfinished business, A, elementary science resources. Dr. Salah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, as you mentioned, this item was presented at our last meeting following our 2-step process with presentation, deliberation, and then a vote. We have not had any questions regarding this particular item from the board, so we ask that you support item A as presented, elementary science resources.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Any further questions? Seeing none, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion to support the elementary science resource.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion made by Member Pastana, seconded by Member Dimick. Any other questions? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
I am a yes. Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Cotter?
Yes.
Ms. Grisomkowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Apollo Playground?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Also, the Apollo Playground was presented at our last board meeting. We've had no further questions from board members. We ask for your support this evening as presented.
Any questions to Dr. Salah or his team? Seeing none, could I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the Apollo Playground purchase as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Motion made by Member Dodd, seconded by Member Ryan. Seeing no further questions, could I have a roll call?
Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Grisomkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Cotter?
Yes.
Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
And Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
C, Bus Right Transportation Software Solution, Exhibit D. Dr. Salah.
Yes, and so the final item we have this evening is the bus right, or I'm sorry, under unfinished business, is the bus right transportation software. As you'll recall from the last meeting, this provides routing solutions for the school district, as the former solution that we utilized has not been updated in quite some time, and this is a more viable option for us as a school district. We have not had further questions outside of committee. I believe we've addressed all questions that have been posed. So we are asking for your support as presented this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Salah. Any additional? Yes, Ms. Cotter?
No, I was going to I wanted to make the motion.
Oh, then go ahead, please.
Thank you. I move that our Board of Education approve the Bus Right Transportation Software Solution as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion made by Member Cotter, seconded by Member Grisomkowski. Any questions? Seeing none, could I have a roll call?
Ms. Cotter?
Yes.
Ms. Grisomkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Section 6 is new business. Any items that were intended to be voted on would be bolded. None of them are. This is first reading for A through E. First is K2 decodable book purchase, found in Exhibit E. Dr. Salah.
Thank you. And for this item, I would ask Mr. Tavernier and his team to present.
Yeah, good evening. As Ms. Pastana reported in a TLT committee report, we have a new grant available. It's the 35. It's known as 35J, but it's the Early Literacy Professional Development Curriculum and Supplies Grant. So Mr. Lindberg and the team are going to present tonight on our K2 decodable purchase.
Thank you and good evening. I'm here on behalf of the Teaching, Learning, and Technology Department. along with Kathleen Miska and Kristen Chastain, who will be joining me at the podium shortly. But we're here tonight to talk about some exciting work we've been doing the last couple of years, not only within our Teaching, Learning, and Technology Department, TLT for short, but also the work that we've done collaborating with HVS staff from around the school district, teachers at the elementary level, literacy coaches, really working hand in hand with them to look at our early literacy and look at resources that we have that can support our students reading and writing, but specifically right now with the reading. And so what we're bringing before you today is our kindergarten, first and second grade phonics decodable text. And so John had mentioned that Huron Valley Schools has been awarded a little over $1 million with the early literacy grant, 35J. And with that, approximately $1 million, there's several things that are compliance related. Professional learning on the science of reading for all K-5 educators and administrators, developing a comprehensive literacy system, ensuring 100% compliance with professional learning, and then also reporting to MDE on our work and also keeping things on the website available to the public. And so those are the things that we have to do along with this money. And so what we've done over the last year is really focused on, and you'll hear a lot about UFly and the work that we've done with our teachers in the district. But if you look, we've spent a lot of time field testing UFly throughout this school year, which has been supporting our K through second grade. And then also as we move forward, looking at where we want to go in future years, monitoring and adjusting at the kindergarten through second grade level. But this is, again, one part of a larger literacy global review that we're participating in and working on. And so at this time, I wanted to bring up Kristen, who is going to tell you a little bit more about what UFly, the UFly field study.
Hi, thanks for having us in again today. So during this year of field testing UFly foundations, feedback was collected at intervals, so teachers could weigh in on how things are going. We can monitor and make adjustments as needed. So we wanted to share some data that we collected back in December. On the left side, you can see two columns that are showing that UFly Foundations is a really user-friendly, easy to access resource, which is great. We wanted to hear that, and we're excited to hear that. But on the right-hand side, also during that December survey feedback, we heard from teachers that in the area of supplemental resources, they could use more. So when we dug into that data and had those conversations with teachers, the word decodable text kept coming up. So in UFly, we have decodable passages, but decodable text is something that might be needed as a supplement. So we're here today to talk a little bit about those decodable texts. Now, this might be ringing some bells because just a few meetings ago, we were here talking about decodable text to purchase for our lit coaches in each of our 8 elementary buildings. And we knew at that time that we didn't just want to support our lit coaches, but we also wanted to support our classroom teachers at the K2 level with those decodable texts as well. Now, to kind of trigger that memory of what decodable text is, it really focuses on letter-sound correspondence to promote fluency and really accuracy in decoding as students are reading. Decodable text can be aligned to the scope and sequence of our UFly phonics program. And the best part about decodable text is it gives students that opportunity to feel confident with the skills that they've been learning in their phonics instruction and practicing with real text in real books. So you're all taking a peek at some of those decodable text samples, and you'll notice that they're presented in a book format. So you'll see pictures, text features, some of those language comprehension pieces that we're always working on building up student skills in. But really the focus is allowing students to practice decoding with the skills that they've had during their UFly Foundations lessons. So this is maybe better than just a paragraph or a passage that UFly does provide in the curriculum resource. Those paragraphs and passages are great, often sent home as a home connection, but this puts more reading materials in the hands of our students and in the hands of our teachers to use with their students.
So I want to talk a little bit about the committee. It's made up of 11 members. That's 2 literacy coaches, 3 kindergarten teachers, 4 first grade teachers, and 3 second grade teachers. We're joined today by one of our second grade teachers at Country Oaks, Lauren Wasiloff, who's part of this committee, and then Kathleen Miska and I. We met together for 2 half-day meetings. On March 12th, that first half day was kind of like a speed dating. We looked at lots of different decodable resources and narrowed down to 3 we wanted to learn more about. Then we brought our committee back on April 9th and took a deep dive into learning more about those resources that we had originally narrowed to. And Kathleen's gonna kind of scoot up here in a minute, and she's gonna talk a little bit about that process, the rubrics that we used, and where we ultimately landed.
As Kristen mentioned, as we evaluated these different resources from a variety of different publishers, on that last meeting especially, we also worked with reps from these companies to better understand the offerings of these potential decodable text resources, their alignment to our UFly Foundation's field test curriculum, and we then, in our grade level groups, evaluated the 3 resources per grade level that had been selected for that deeper dive to determine which decodable texts would be the best fit for each grade level and would give us the greatest possibility of having a wide variety of texts available to our students to support their growth of phonics skills. So you can see an example of our kindergarten rubric up there. This was built with support from resources from the Reading League and IES, as well as some usability metrics that we've been using for a long time as we've explored a variety of resources for our students. And we're excited to share with you today the recommendations from each of our grade level committees. Our kindergarten committee selected Benchmark's Dynamite Decodables. You might remember that Benchmark was one of the publishers that you approved in January for purchase of libraries for our Lit Coach libraries in each of our buildings. Dynamite Decodables is a separate set of decodables from what was purchased for the Lit Coaches back in January. And our kindergarten committee selected both the grade K and grade 1 library sets from Dynamite Decodables because that gave us the greatest overlap with the lessons from UFly that hit that kindergarten level. So that the kindergarten set gave a lot of that introductory kind of running through the alphabet, those first introduction to individual letters and phonemes, and then the first grade set gave us more complexity that we could still use within the kindergarten year. So what this means is that kindergarten teachers will each get 66 different titles, 6 copies of each title so that these books can be used for small group instruction. They might also be used in students' kind of individual independent reading book boxes. A teacher could choose to send some home with students, and that would give teachers an additional library of 396 books at the kindergarten level for use with their students. This also includes teacher companion cards. One of your samples from Benchmark has an example of that companion card, and it's a little bit of information about the text, comprehension questions or questions focused on the phonics skill aligned to that text that teachers might use to support their small group instruction in alignment with UFly. The other main benefit to this set was its high alignment with the UFly scope and sequence. And this means that the texts don't just have the same phonemic skills from UFly, but they're presented and built in an order that supports our UFly order of implementation of those skills. So while this aligns to 44 of the 64 kindergarten UFly lessons, there are other texts within the set that meet those remaining 20 lessons. They just may be slightly out of sequence compared to our UFly scope and sequence because this is from a different publisher. So they're still useful within the class. They may just have to wait a few more lessons in our UFly sequence to make sure that the text is more decodable with the introduction of those additional phonemes. So that's our kindergarten recommendation. For first and second grades, both of these grade levels selected phonics storybook sets from Pioneer Valley. And this is a great resource that is marketed a little bit differently. And so instead of having grade level sets, they have smaller 18 to 24 title sets that are a little bit more customizable that we can use, especially since the UFly scope and sequence for grades 1 and 2 overlaps a little bit. But we can have different titles for each grade level so that students are seeing new texts in each grade, even though these come from the same publishing resource. So first grade selected On Our Way 1, On Our Way 2, Building Up 1, and Moving On 1 for a total of 90 different titles. And again, 6 copies of each of these titles for use in small group instruction for 540 books per teacher. And in second grade, Building Up 2, Moving On 2, Lifting Off 1, and Lifting Off 2 for 78 different titles and 468 books per teacher. And again, 6 copies of each title. These committees selected also that the set of phonics launch lessons, which are very much like those title cards in the benchmark set, that they wanted to have 1 set of those per building for reference among the team. And again, we have one of our highest alignments for these 2 grade levels of any single publisher's resource to our UFly scope and sequence. And again, the lessons that aren't necessarily directly aligned in sequence will still be used, just maybe a little bit later in our UFly sequence compared to where they might have fallen in the phonics storybooks kind of list of skills. We're very, very excited that we can, as a district, support such an enormous library purchase for our K1 and 2 teachers through the benefit of the 35J grant. This is just really a super exciting opportunity.
So we're coming before you tonight to recommend that you approve the purchase of these decodable materials that we've presented, the Dynamite decodables at the kindergarten level, and then the Pioneer Valley's phonics storybooks at the 1st and 2nd grade level. And you can see what the purchase includes. You heard Kathleen mention the number of books that each teacher is getting, and that's really exciting. And I know there's been a lot of excitement across the district because of that amount and support that we're getting for early literacy to support our students at those early grade levels. And Lauren, I didn't know if you want to come up and maybe give a little perspective from a teacher's perspective on, since you're part of the committee. No pressure.
Hi, thank you for having me tonight. I am up here as a teacher and as a parent in the district, and I can just say that watching the growth over the last couple of years that students make with UFly, with this systematic, explicit instruction, it's a true testament to, how good the program is, and having these decodable texts, I think, will be really important. And as a parent watching, I have a kindergarten son and 2nd grader at Country Oaks, and especially my kindergartner this year, watching where he started at the beginning of the year until now, the books that he's able to pick up and read, it's just really awesome to see. And being in touch with other teacher friends who work in other surrounding Oakland schools, districts, we are ahead of the game, which is also really exciting. So thank you.
Great. Board members, any questions? Yes, Laura.
I just want to thank you for the presentation. I know the 90-minute literacy block is super important, and these little guys can go through books. So I also appreciate knowing that there's 6 copies of each one. I've spent a decent amount of time in an elementary building during this literacy block, and the teachers have already done a great job with these school-based libraries, but when those kids get into 90 minutes, it's so nice to have a lot of resources. And I know that my daughter has just been out of the K through 2, but that everybody in a little group can have the same book to look at, I think is important. A lot of times there's only one of each book. So that's the thing that struck me about this, is that we get 6 copies of each for each classroom. So friends can read together, they can be looking at the same thing, because I know the social part is also pretty important for them. So, and also I really always appreciate that you bring in classroom teachers to be part of this. Your feedback is really important and helpful, and knowing that these books have been in the hands of our kids to be able to look at and respond to, and for the educators to evaluate and figure out if this works, I think is fantastic. So thank you very much for the process and the presentation.
Thank you, Laura. Any other comments? Yes, Amy.
So you're speaking my love language, literacy. I just want to say thank you for this work. Decodable text, I'm a reader. I want all of our students to be readers. Decodable text is interesting. just looking at my little Pearl, the polar bear book, it's interesting to read. It is not just the rote, we have one word or one portion of a word that we're trying to get you to understand. It's interesting reading. I want students, we have 90 minutes to impart reading. One of the most important skills any person will ever have is the ability to read. And the fact that we would create a passion for them, that we would pique interest, that we would have text that would grab them and encourage them to continue to read, to continue to investigate, is very exciting to me. Just what we're doing with UFly, science and reading is near and dear to my heart. The idea that the state of Michigan might finally pass some dyslexia legislation, also very near and dear to my heart, but this is exciting to me. And Lauren, that's your name, right? I didn't mess that up. I was at Country Oaks, but I didn't have you. My kids didn't have you as a teacher. Can I just tell you, when you say we're ahead of the game, there are no better words in the English language to me than we are ahead of the game in the literacy department. So thank you so much for the work that you've done on this. I couldn't ask for anything more as a board member, because this is so important to what we do on a day-to-day basis. So thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, Lindsay.
Yes, Marty, you began this by saying 35J grant money will be used to make this purchase for our students?
That's correct, yep.
That's a very good point. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Piggybacking on what Lindsay, how was the grant allocation under, was it 35J? How was that determined? How did we receive that?
I know there's an application process through, our state and federal programs. So Jennifer Bjorkman works with, looking at all of the grant opportunities, and so this was one that we applied for and received.
So this wasn't something that was automatic. It was something that we
did
had
have
to
to apply for
demonstrate,
the
and we had to
35J,
apply,
correct.
and we received based on.
Yep, submit a budget, and it was there was an application process for
Great.
this grant.
Well,
Yep.
Congratulations to the entire team, and I can't think of a better way of endorsing something, but from Lauren, who is a teacher and a parent, who sees it on both sides. And I will tell you, as a grandfather, I've seen that with my little first grader, and I kind of chuckled when I got the HIN book, because I've read that book a few times. So she absolutely has done marvelous with the process as it relates to Decodable and the things that we're doing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is CTE technology purchase, Exhibit F.
Thank you, Mr. President, and this is also a TLT item, so I'll ask Mr. Tavernier to speak to this.
Yep. This purchase request is a little more routine. So every year, our career and technical education courses utilize technology equipment that must be replaced on regular intervals. One of the cart of laptops and a classroom lab of monitors are in need of replacement, and so that is budgeted in the CTE budget this year. The district always looks for not grant opportunities, but REMC and MHEC is the statewide multi-state consortium for purchasing technology. So we are asking for the board to approve at the next meeting on May 20th the purchase of the laptops and the monitors that are available both on the MHEC and the REMC consortium pricing as presented.
Great.
Happy to take any questions.
Questions? You'll have the next 2 weeks to review this. I will say that this, as you said, it comes out of the CTE budget. Those funds flow through our Oakland Intermediate School District through the a special millage, that's a county-wide millage, that we receive these dollars to be able to purchase them. So, thank you. Next is the Oakland Schools ISD budget.
Thank you. Mr. Van Gotham, I'd ask you to speak to this one, please.
Thank you, Dr. Salas. So on an annual basis, local school boards are required by law to annually approve or disapprove the Intermediate School District ISD General Fund budget. The Oakland Schools ISD also provides budgetary information for their special education, career focus, special revenue, debt service, and enterprise budgets. All these budgets were sent to Huron Valley Schools along with an executive summary for each fund. Oakland Schools is projected to decrease their general fund balance by about $2.6 million this year. They're going to increase their special education fund balance by about $84,000 and career-focused education fund by about $4.1 million. The general fund, their policy is to maintain a balance of between 7.5% and 12.5% in their general fund, and they plan on ending the 24-25 fiscal year at about 15%. They also have in their budget for the current year a modest salary increase of 2% for all their staff, as well as the normal step increases. The local impact on new monies for Huron Valley Schools General Fund is expected to be an increase of about $250,000, specifically in the PA-18, the Special Education Funding Millage. And that has a general fund revenue and expenditure component, obviously expending those dollars that we receive from them on the revenue side. The Oakland Schools budget was summarized and discussed with the Finance and Operations Committee on May 1st last week. And again, this is a first read. We are not asking for approval this evening, but merely placing it under new business, and have time this evening and or over the next couple weeks to answer any questions that the board may have.
You have this in your packet. It has been discussed at Finance and Operations. You do have the next 2 weeks to address any questions that you might have through Dr. Slah's office and through Jeffrey's office. Does anyone have any clarification questions at this point in time? I just want to point out a couple things. We just talked about it with John as it related to the CTE budget, which comes through Oakland Schools, and they manage that, and it's a flow-through. I think it's also important to note that one of the pieces that you brought forth was the special ed millage, which is also another county-wide millage. We know that special ed and providing services that are necessary for our special needs students is more than what we receive from the state of Michigan and our foundation. And in fact, we have to subsidize those additional costs through the general fund. Without this P-18 special ed millage, which is county-wide, we would, as a local school district, have to subsidize it even at a greater extent. So it's a great benefit for us to have that P-18 special education millage, county-wide millage, because it does have a direct impact on not only what we offer our special needs students, but has a direct impact on what we can offer our general ed students, because we do not need to spend as much of our district money on state mandated programs through special ed. So just want to point that out. You do have an executive summary. I think it's important to go through it, look at what the costs are and what those services are that Oakland Schools provides to Huron Valley School District and other local school districts. Next, Spring Mills ASD Playground. Dr. Slah.
Thank you, Mr. President. And this, I would ask Mr. Van Gotham to address as well.
Thank you, Dr. Slah. So the district has a bunch of equipment that was playground specific that's been installed, as long ago as 20 years. Spring Mills was not equipped with an ASD playground, has since added that program, and also the need for a playground specifically for those students involved in that program. The public bid was sent out a couple years ago, and Sinclair Recreation and Snyder Recreation were the awarded vendors, so we asked them for some pricing. That consultant worked with our principal as well as a couple of the teachers and decided to build an ASD playground. The pricing is coming in at about $70,000 with a 12% contingency of about $8,300, and so we're asking for a little over $78,000 for a playground specifically for Spring Mills and for the ASD students in that building, and obviously it will be able to be used for whatever students the principal and teachers feel is appropriate, but we really wanted to identify the ASD program that has grown throughout the district and add an additional playground at Spring Mills Elementary. So again, this is a first read this evening. We asked the board to ask any questions this evening or over the next couple weeks, and then we want to have the board approve this at May 20th so that we can order the equipment and have it ready to go for the students when they come back to school for the 24-25 school year.
Once again, next 2 weeks to go over that material. Anybody have any questions? Yes, Denise.
Question. Are the pictures on here the equipment that they've chosen, or just examples?
So that should be the equipment that they're actually ordering, and we kind of went back and forth with the actual equipment company, because it was important that they got specific equipment that was loose pieces and pieces where students could use that stuff individually. So if it's a canned piece, I apologize, but they're supposed to be appropriate for what the actual equipment is.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Yes, Laura?
I know in some of our other playgrounds that are for separate programs, we have them fenced. Does this include fencing for this playground or no?
We will have fencing around this playground, yes.
But this quote doesn't include the fencing, correct?
No, this just includes the equipment. We would have fencing as part of some additional work throughout the
Okay.
summer.
Thank you.
Anything else? The only comment that I do make is similar to the Apollo playground that we approved tonight, and I believe there was another playground that we approved at the prior board meeting. At Lakewood. This is for Spring Mills. All three of them are made possible through the passage of the 2019 bond issue. Without those funds, none of this would be possible. So I think it's important to note that this is not coming out of the general fund. It's part of the bond issue that was approved by our community back in 2019. Next is the item that you approved as it related to a revised item. This is the Oakland Intermediate School Board election. You have it in front of you. I would like to go ahead and move forward with this. Oakland Schools oversees the Oakland Schools is overseen by the Oakland Schools Board of Education. The board is elected to a 6-year staggered term every other year by boards of Oakland County 28 school districts. Candidates are often local board members, but need only to be registered electors. The Oakland Schools Board of Education is elected by one vote from each of the 28 local Oakland County School District Boards of Education. Elections are held biannually in even years on the first Monday in June, which is June 3rd. HVS has been asked to select 2 candidates for 6-year terms. There currently are 4 candidates that have met that deadline, and we will be electing 2 of those 4. I've provided you information on 2 of the candidates who have provided information to us. The other 2, we have not received any, but if we do, we'll pass those on to you for your consideration. HVS will be designating an elector from us to cast our ballot in person at the election scheduled to take place between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m. on Monday, June 30th in the Oakland Schools Conference Center. Attached is a resolution that will be presented to the Board of Education on May 20th, which is our next board meeting. That resolution will allow our designee to vote on the 2 candidates that we so nominate or choose. So there's two things that we're going to do tonight that I would suggest. I would like all of us to take a look at the information. There is a community forum that's going to be held live tomorrow. I know many of us are going to have other commitments, but those community forums will be broadcast so that you can take a look at them. I would also like this to be moved over to our chair, Vice President Dodd, who chairs the legislative group, to review them, and her committee go through that process and recommend who we might choose as a board. And at the same time, what we'll need to do is elect a candidate, the candidates obviously, and also name our designee to represent us. So if you would do that, Chairperson Dodd, I'd appreciate that. We will continue to forward you any information as it relates to this. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Member Dodd, and we'll move forward with this. The reason why we're doing it like we are now is because we have a board meeting tonight. First read, we're following the process. Second read is the action, which is May 20th. We don't have a board meeting until after June 3rd. So if we didn't follow this process and add it to the agenda tonight, we wouldn't follow that 2-step process. So that's the reason behind that. Yes?
Yeah. Yes, Tom, you just actually made the correction.
Okay.
When you were reading the information, I believe you said June 30th.
I'm
And-
sorry.
But you just corrected yourself and reminded us that June 3rd is the
June 3rd.
deadline.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
have to cast our ballot on June 3rd. And we have to have this resolution passed prior to that. So thank you for the correction. Any other comments? Seeing none? Now we will go to public comments. I do have 5. Thank you for your patience. We'll start with, I believe it's Jojo Kine. If you, once again, if you'll state your name and address in the district that you attend. And then I will follow that with Richard, is this Kolosky? I beg your pardon if I've pronounced that incorrectly. So, Jojo, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Jojo, can you pull the mic? Oh, there we go.
Address?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
I would appreciate that.
So my name's JoJo Kind. I live at 3511 Lakeview Drive in Huron Valley District. I'm here to speak to you regarding recent events that are coming to light at Spring Mills Elementary. A contract employee that has been in Spring Mills for over 3 years has several accusations of inappropriate misconduct with children. We send our children to Huron Valley schools entrusting their care that there are systems in place that will protect our children from these very situations. Over 2 weeks ago, I learned that this is not the case with our school and district because as a whole, you're together. This breaks my heart and appalls me at the same time. This great district of Huron Valley has failed our children. This gross negligence will put a stain on the district's reputation because of your lack of ability to do your own thorough background check on all of your employees. It leaves me to question, is there more? How is it that a group of moms can secure a proper background check and prior court documents on this very employee while Huron Valley just gave him a welcome home? He took this home and started to groom our children into accepting his inappropriate behavior, and for some, much worse. How is it that a district of this multitude could let this kind of thing happen? Well, the more I asked, the more I learned that there is a lack of training on this very subject. I learned some teachers may be trained on how to report, but do they all know how to look for potential signs of an abuse or an abuser? I know that some employees who may see all the kids through recess or lunch or other excess things may have little to no training in this at all. So do you require staff after their hire-on process to recertify their knowledge in these areas? Well, when children are involved, this is a very serious subject and one that all adults around them should be trained in. I'm here to call for mandatory safe environments training for all employees and volunteers in Huron Valley District and mandatory recertification for staff every other year. Let's create safe environments for our children and confidence in all of your employees in this subject. It's the very least we could do to ensure that the safety of our children and prevent this from ever happening again. We want accountability for the principal in the district's extreme negligence on reporting this employee to the authorities. You chose to protect an adult in your interests over the children and accusations that came to you over a year ago with this very employee. You continued to employ him and he continued to be inappropriate with our children. What were you guys waiting for? The worst? Another call to action is yearly safe environments training for kids. I have here a concrete resource, one of many that you guys can attain, a K through lesson guides teaching children about their respected space using appropriate language for ages and lessons teaching them how to protect themselves, know their trusted adults, and who they can go to. Can we incorporate this lesson once a year for each grade to equip them with these great tools? We parents are here today because we need to see this change. We need to know that our kids are being put first and protected. Huron Valley, we need you to do better. Stop protecting yourselves and start protecting our children.
Richard, and then followed by Erica.
Richard Skalski, 3390 Chevron, Highland, Huron Valley District. There needs to be a change. I was very shocked to take part in this meeting and hear that our modest 2% is all our district can do for our teachers who work hard to keep our children safe. Unfortunately, the system is broken. Our children have not been kept safe. and I'm here to advocate for them. Where's the transparency for us parents in regards to the process that takes place when pertaining to a teacher being unprofessional with the student? There is none. I go on your website. I cannot find any process available for me as a parent to the steps that will be taken against your staff when they are inappropriate with their students. I believe that there should be more transparency, whether it's, you're paying your employees more so you do not have to hire a third party. I think out of the millions that we've gotten for bonds, we can throw them a little something. We can get extra teachers in here. Let's not walking over a penny to save $1. We need to do better. I'm disappointed. My children have been in the school for many, many years in the district. I have 6 children, and I'm also a grandfather. My grandchildren are going to Huron Valley schools, and I'd like to protect their future. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. We have Erica, and then followed by Beth.
Hi, my name's Erica Skalski. My daughter goes to Spring Mills. I'm appalled. I don't know what to say to you. I don't know how to address the parents. Finding out that there were allegations a year ago from the same teacher who unfortunately many of us parents here know each other now through him, through you. I was not called on what happened. Sorry, it was my daughter, was one of them. I was not called. I had to call the school. My husband had to call the school board, who then turned around and had Miss Bentley call us. There are no scapegoats here. You are all at fault. It is each and every one of you people's faults that our children were touched. And I'm gonna stop here before I end up getting in trouble.
Next, Beth, followed by Tori.
My name is Beth James, and I live at 3627 Lido, and my daughters go to Spring Mills. I had a statement prepared, but a lot of what I was going to say, JoJo spoke to really eloquently. So I want to say, in addition, for what I'm looking for, as well as the parents that I've been talking with, is it is imperative that you have people talking to the children in our school about what is safe and appropriate touch. Now, I have done my own reconnaissance work, as a parent does, when they find out this kind of thing goes on with a person that is alone with their children. When I am not there to protect my children, I know every one of you are parents. And those of you who are not, your role is to protect children. There is absolutely no reason why there isn't something being done already, where there is not an assembly, where there is not some kind of training, as JoJo spoke of, going on for our children. Where do they go? Who do they talk to? What is the protocol? Also, I went on the website, nothing. Who do we report it to? I called the superintendent, and he did call me back. Frankly, you gave me lip service. You said, let the police do their job. Well, I did my job as a parent, and every single family that I've talked to about this teacher has very creepy things to say. So my question becomes, what are the teachers in my school doing that they're not noticing this? He's been there 5 years. Now, me and a few other parents, it took a very short amount of time to find out in 2016 he had a felon charge with an 11-year-old girl that spent the night at his house with his daughter. Now, the charges were dropped. Why do you think? I have a 10-year-old. Do you think she would go on the stand and talk about this in this type of situation? It also happened in Holly School District before he came to Huron Valley. We deserve answers. You want money from us? You deserve to create answers. Thank you.
Tori?
My name is Tori Spado. I live at 4051 Lock Drive. My children go to Huron Valley Schools, clearly Spring Mills. I was going to start this off with questions, but clearly you're not going to answer them for your own purposes. I would like to build on what was said about our school district being run as a business. We have an issue of a teacher inappropriately touching our children. Last year, it was uncovered that you decided that it would damage your business instead of protecting our children. You hid it, buried, and continued to allow him to work in the building. It has now resurfaced with countless complaints from our poor children. Our children in elementary school. This is not high school. These are little kids. You ask for money to polish your business while in business-like fashion not protecting the consumers. As parents, we researched to find out he had been previously charged. With all the money that you ask, you couldn't bother to check his background. You refused to comment on the topic or offer any apology for the fear of not getting your money, because as a district, all you care about is getting more money. So with that, I have some questions. I know you're going to ignore them and not answer them, but here's what we as parents want to know. You knew about the accusations last year. Ms. Bentley knew about them. Why did you not properly report them to the police yourselves? In doing so, you personally continued to let him hurt our children. What is your plan from here? Are you doing your own investigation within your schools without the sheriff's help to figure out what teachers knew and who didn't say anything? And what protocols do you have in place for failure to report sexual assault crimes as teachers, principals, student board members, and adults and teachers yourselves? You knew about the sexual assault claims and failed to report them to the police yourselves. You are personally responsible for allowing Tim to continue to touch our children.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your public comments. Although we cannot comment on any specifics of the allegation or the investigation, I will tell you that this board takes all of these allegations seriously and have been diligently following all school policies and procedures. The safety and welfare of our students and staff remains our top priority. For all the sake of all involved, we need to allow law enforcement to investigate. Thank you. Next on the agenda is good and welfare. Anybody have any good and welfare?
Welfare is the good and welfare of our children getting removed from Huron Valley schools and getting them shut down.
Vote no.
Vote no! You don't deserve our money.
Anybody have any good and welfare? Seeing none.